My dad told me once that I was a mistake. He didn't say it out of anger or in the heat of a moment. He said it slowly, deliberately, like he was reading a fact off a page. He looked me dead in the eye and told me I was the result of a dumb 17-year-old boy who didn't know anything about life, love, or consequences. He said he should have pulled out. That I ruined everything for him. That his dreams died the moment I came into the world. I was 8 years old when he said that. 8. Old enough to understand, too young to unhear it. So I grew up believing I was the reason he was always tired. The reason we barely had money. The reason his laughter had rusted into silence. He didn't hit me or scream. He fed me, clothed me, even helped with homework. But love? There was none of that. Just this heavy cloud of disappointment that followed us everywhere. I told myself that if I could just be perfect, maybe I could fix it. Straight A's, no talking back, cooking dinner, cleaning the kitchen, I did it all. But his eyes never softened. And mine grew harder. Then, when I turned 16, I got pregnant. The moment the test turned positive, I thought I was going to faint. My hands shook so badly I couldn't even hold my phone. I stared at that little stick for what felt like hours, the lines blurring through my tears. I kept whispering, no, no, no. But it was yes. So painfully, terrifyingly yes. I couldn't tell my dad. He'd either throw me out or break what little was left of me. So I told the only person in the world who ever made me feel safe, my grandma. She was my mom's mom. My mom had vanished when I was just a baby, and Grandma was the only thread that kept her memory alive. She hated my dad, but she never once made me feel like I was the enemy. When I told her I was pregnant, I expected yelling, disappointment, or at least shock. But instead, she pulled me into her arms and whispered, "We'll figure it out." And I cried into her shoulder until I couldn't anymore. We made a plan. Not a perfect one, not even a good one by most standards. But it was what we had. She lived in a tiny house and couldn't take me in. And I couldn't stay with my dad once I started showing. So we decided to hide the pregnancy. Her idea was bold, maybe even crazy. We prepped the basement at my dad's house. It wasn't creepy or dark, it was clean, had a little heater, a soft mattress, a shelf of supplies. My boyfriend Liam brought food, diapers, and anything else I needed through the side door. We turned that hidden space into a little world of our own. A world where no one screamed, no one judged, no one said I was a mistake. Noah was born in Grandma's living room. We had help from a retired nurse from her church. No hospital, no paperwork, no certificate. Just blankets, prayers, and trembling hands. He came into the world surrounded by love and fear. I wrapped him up and rocked him for hours, memorizing his every breath. He was mine. Ours. Perfect. At night, I'd sneak out of my room and down into the basement to feed and hold him. Dad thought I was up watching late-night TV. He had no idea that under his roof, in the same house where he told me I ruined his life, I was creating one. Liam came as often as he could. He was 17, terrified, and yet he never once walked away. We counted down the days until I turned 17 and could legally leave home. But life has a way of ruining countdowns. In the middle of January, the furnace broke. It was freezing. Dad went to the basement to look for extra heaters. I was in the kitchen when I heard his footsteps stop. The silence that followed was louder than a scream. He came up with a baby sock in his hand. He held it like it was poison. "Whose baby is in my house?" That was all he said. I froze. My heart felt like it cracked in half. I told him the truth. He exploded. Yelled. Threw things. Paced like a caged animal. But he didn't hit me. He didn't touch Noah. And that weirdly gave me hope. Still, I couldn't stay. That night, Grandma pulled up in her car. I grabbed Noah and ran. Ran like my life depended on it. Because in a way it did. We stayed with Grandma for a week. Her living room turned into a nursery. Liam visited every day. We took turns holding Noah, whispering dreams for his future. It was hard, but it felt like maybe, just maybe, things would be okay. Until Liam's mom found out. And that's when everything changed. Liam's mom didn't yell at first. She smiled when she saw Noah's photo. But her eyes told a different story. Cold. Sharp. Calculating. The next day, Liam told me she offered him money to leave me. Not just a little. Thousands. She promised to pay for any college, any city far away. All he had to do was walk away. He said no. Said he loved me and our son. That he wouldn't run. I cried when he told me. Not because I was sad, but because I didn't know what it felt like to be chosen before. When my dad heard, something in him shifted. He didn't say much. But he told Liam, "You're doing better than I did." And that was the closest he'd ever come to giving a blessing. For a few weeks it was almost normal. Dad set up a crib in my room. Grandma visited every day. We took turns making bottles. I'd catch Dad watching Noah sleep sometimes. He didn't smile, but he didn't leave the room either. Then Grandma had a heart attack. It wasn't major, but enough to scare us all. She couldn't care for Noah full-time anymore. So I moved back in with Dad. We didn't speak much. But we didn't fight either. One day he came home with a mobile toy for Noah's crib. He said the colors were good for brain development. I didn't know how to respond. Then CPS showed up. It was like time stopped. The woman was polite but firm. She said there had been a report. Someone claimed an infant was being raised in unsafe conditions. Grandma blamed Dad. Dad blamed Grandma. Voices rose. The social worker stayed calm. Then she dropped the bomb. It was Liam's mom who called. She had proof, she said. Time-stamped photos. Videos. From our basement windows. She'd been watching us for months. I felt sick. Like the air was gone. The CPS worker gave us a checklist. Safety improvements. Doctor's visits. Family therapy. They'd be back. I held Noah that night and cried. Dad punched a hole in the kitchen wall. We were unraveling. Liam's mom returned the next day. She pulled up during a surprise CPS visit. She ranted on the lawn, yelling about teen parents. The CPS worker asked to see the basement. It was empty, but Liam's mom had the photos. She printed them, dated them, organized them. She'd been planning this for a long time. Liam rushed over in the middle of the chaos. He hugged me in front of everyone. Held Noah. Told CPS he was staying. Grandma's doctor called during the visit. Said her heart couldn't handle more stress. So the worker postponed the formal investigation. Before she left, she whispered something to me. Document everything and get a lawyer. I couldn't sleep that night. Noah's breathing was the only thing keeping me calm. I opened Facebook to distract myself. And found something worse. Anonymous posts in local parenting groups. Talking about dangerous teen moms and abused babies. It was Liam's mom. Her writing style was obvious. Vague but brutal. I clicked through comments. People said they'd call CPS themselves. Said babies needed to be rescued. She was turning the entire town against me. 3. I found Dad in Noah's room. He was holding him, whispering. I stepped closer and heard. "They won't take you." He looked up. Saw me. We finally talked. He told me he was scared. That CPS was involved when I was born too. That my mom was overwhelmed and left. He was 18, alone and panicking. He thought it was happening again. But this time he wanted to do it differently. The next morning Liam's bank account froze. His mom had opened it when he was a minor. She still had access. She was cutting us off. Grandma ignored her doctor and started organizing. She made a list of people who knew me. Teachers. Neighbors. Even the mailman. Everyone who could say I was a good mom. I went into the attic for Noah's winter clothes. Found something else instead. Dad's old journals. He was 17 when he wrote them. Page after page of fear. Pain. Stories of social workers in courtrooms. It was like reading my own life in his words. I cried. Not for me, but for him. CPS came back. This time we were ready. They found us eating breakfast. Dad reading the paper. Noah in his high chair. I fed him gently. Changed his diaper with practiced ease. The worker watched everything. She smiled when she left. Dad apologized that night. Told me he'd taken his pain out on me. That I was never a mistake. Just a scared kid like he was. And he promised to do better. After Dad apologized, something shifted inside me. The weight I carried since childhood began to lift. Not all at once, but enough to breathe deeper. We knew Liam's mom wouldn't stop. So we built a fortress of truth. I started logging everything. Every feeding. Every nap. Every diaper. Every milestone. We took pictures, recorded videos, saved receipts from doctor visits. Every scrap became part of our binder. Liam helped me organize it by date. My grandma added her own notes. Dad scanned his journals. We were building a case without knowing exactly what for. But we knew we'd need it. Then Sarah, Liam's little sister, messaged me. She said her mom had a binder. An actual binder full of reports, photos, notes, all about me. She wanted to help. We met in secret at a local coffee shop. Sarah brought the binder. It was worse than I imagined. Photos of me carrying Noah. Notes about how tired I looked. Printouts of social media posts. Even PI reports. Her mom had hired someone to follow me. Every yawn. Every moment of exhaustion. Twisted into a weapon. Liam confronted his mom. She didn't deny it. She said she was saving him. That I was ruining his life. It wasn't concern. It was control. Dad offered to talk to her. Parent to parent. She refused. Told him he was enabling a mess. She even called us kids playing house. Then she started showing up at Dad's job. Talking to his coworkers. Spreading rumors. He'd worked there for 8 years. But now his personal life threatened his career. He reached out to his siblings. They hadn't spoken in years. But when they heard the story, they came. His sister drove 2 states. His brother lived nearby. For the first time in decades, Dad had support. Liam moved in full-time. His mom changed the locks. Sarah kept feeding us updates. Her mom was unraveling. Spending thousands on surveillance. Burning through savings. And all to destroy a family. I researched narcissistic parents. Every trait fit her perfectly. CPS came again. This time with a supervisor. They interviewed us separately. I showed them the binder. The photos. The receipts. Medical records. Even texts from Sarah. They were impressed. Grandma stayed calm despite her heart. Dad helped with everything. We felt like a team. Then I discovered something wild. Liam's mom had lost custody before. To her older son's father. I found court records. It was a pattern. A long one. Control. Manipulation. Legal harassment. I gave it to our lawyer. He said it could prove a history. Days later, Liam's half-brother Nicholas reached out. He'd heard from Sarah. He wanted to help. We met in neutral ground. He shared old emails. Court orders. Proof of what she'd done to him. He agreed to testify. He said, "She's been doing this for years. I wish someone had stopped her then." I cried again. But this time not from fear. From relief. We were not alone. CPS came again. Routine check. They found a peaceful home. Noah laughing. Me feeding him applesauce. Dad reading in the corner. They smiled. They left. Later that night, Liam's mom froze again. She arrived with a manila envelope. Screaming about grandparents' rights. Waving papers on our porch. Dad stepped outside. He didn't yell. Didn't raise a hand. He simply said, "Leave before I call the police." And she did. The neighbors had heard everything. Some came over to offer support. Others admitted she had approached them too. Asking them to file complaints. She was desperate. Sarah told us her mom was broke. Credit cards maxed. PI unpaid. Lawyers quitting. Her obsession had a price. And it was high. Dad found old baby photos of me. Held them in silence. Then whispered, "I won't fail you again." It hit me hard. I hugged him. For the first time I believed him. We prepared for the court hearing. Restraining order request. Sarah testified. Nicholas testified. Teachers gave statements. Neighbors sent letters. Even Noah's pediatrician said, "This baby is healthy, happy, and safe." The judge reviewed everything. Her binder. Our binder. The stalking. The surveillance. The financial abuse. He approved the restraining order. She cried in court. Tried to claim she was just concerned. But the evidence told a different story. Then her employer got involved. They discovered she used company money to fund her campaign. Over $30,000. She was fired. And charged with embezzlement. Her image shattered. The woman who claimed moral concern was exposed. CPS closed our case. Noah was safe. We were safe. Liam started college, studying social work. He said, "I want to help kids like us." Dad went to AA. Sober 90 days and counting. He even started mentoring other young fathers. Grandma's health improved. She hosted Sunday dinners again. Nicholas visited often. Sarah moved in with her dad. Free for the first time. That stolen money? The court ordered it into Noah's college fund. Poetic justice. On Noah's first birthday, our house was full. Church friends. Neighbors. CPS worker who helped us. Nicholas. Sarah. Even Dad's long-lost siblings. There was cake. Balloons. Laughter. We took a family photo. In front of the playroom that used to be a basement. Full circle. That night Dad and I sat on the porch. He said, "You broke the cycle." I said, "We broke it together." Noah toddled over. He giggled. Dad picked him up and spun him around. The same man who once called me a mistake. Now the loudest cheerleader in our life. We chose love over fear. We chose truth over lies. We chose each other. And we won.